Okay, so as I said, the problem we've currently got is that while we can make people go through the login routine, we can't actually prohibit them from having access if they haven't yet authenticated. I'll give you an example. So if I click on default.aspx in this new website and I press play to start and to bring up the browser, if this was working properly, what should happen is when Firefox starts up, it should immediately send me to login.aspx to actually test my credentials. But when you go there, it doesn't. It says here is some content, which is exactly what we expect to see on that page. So that's not particularly useful. Okay, so let's close that down, reduce that a second. Let's now press stop debugging. The place where we have to tell the website not to show anything unless the user is authenticated is in the web config file. Okay, so again, if you right click and choose open and open the web config file, let's hide the toolbar for a second. The area where you have to look particularly is the section called system.web, which is actually quite a large section here, which has a number of values for how the web application will work. Okay, but the place where you have to put something in is just the very bottom of system web. Just before system web section ends, add the following XML. Okay, essentially just need to memorize this. Okay, authorization, deny users, question mark, end authorization. Now what that means is, regarding authorization, do not allow anyone in, anyone. So the question mark means anyone. Deny users, every user. Okay, authorization. So we're basically saying, by putting that into the website, we're saying nobody is allowed access to this website. Okay. So having done that, now let's click on default.aspx again. Oh, by the way, with webconfig, unlike the other files, you do have to manually save it, whereas with the other files, they automatically get saved whenever you do a compilation. With webconfig, you do have to manually save it before the website will reflect the changes in it. So let's now click onto default.aspx and press play. Okay. Now what should happen now, whereas previously we were allowed to see the site, what should happen now, if we go to default.aspx, what should happen is we are sent directly back to the login page because it doesn't like the fact we've not logged in. Okay. So here now then, let's choose if that username and password still exists. There's Steve, and there's my password, and I click login. Okay, and now I can actually see the content because I did log in properly. Now let me close down Firefox now again. Okay, and now Firefox will quit, and I've asked it to kind of clear all the private data, meaning any authenticated sessions in there, such that when we start it again, it won't remember that we've previously logged in. Okay, so because I want to show you, however, a complication of this. If I now press default.aspx, let's start debugging again. Okay, and suppose this time I don't want to log in as Steve, but I want to log in as a new user. Okay, I want to log in as a new user, or create a new profile. Okay, now then, this is where it gets a tiny bit complicated. Now if I click on new user, create profile, if I click on the link now, I click on it because I want to create a new user. The problem is it won't allow me to create a new user because it is also prohibiting me from signup.aspx. You see there the file name signup.aspx. Because we've done this absolutely blanket authorization denial, we can't even allow access to the new user sign-up page. So we need to make that as an exception. Okay, that is an exception from the general rule. Okay, and the way we have to do that is we have to go into webconfig. Okay, and this time just go up just above System Web. So let's go. There's the end of System Web. Let's go up to the start of System Web. Okay, and just before the start of System Web, we have to make an exception for the signup.aspx page. Okay, and this is essentially how you do it. I'm just going to copy and paste this because it's kind of quite difficult to remember. Oh dear, I need to actually press stop debugging before I can do anything like that. So I'm going to stop debugging. Hopefully it's going to stop debugging. It's taking a while. Okay, but once it's stopped debugging, it should allow me now to paste into webconfig some code which will make an exception for the file signup.aspx. I'm just going to paste that in now. Location path equals, I've made it lowercase in my case, so I'm going to make it signup.aspx. Underneath that, you create another system web. So this system web now only applies to the page signup.aspx. And now it's saying allow users star, which means that any user can actually gain access to signup.aspx, even though in virtually everything else is locked down. So now let's go again into, let's click on default.aspx and let's see if that now behaves. Let's see if we can create a new user. Okay, and with this new user we will try to allow the new user to create a profile for themselves. Okay, so it logs, so it works out we're not logged in, so let's create as a new user, let's create a profile this time. So click on create profile. This time it does allow us to gain access to signup.asp. So I'm going to change my name to username John. Okay, password, I'm going to use the same one as before, abc_123, and I'm going to go abc_123. Okay, and then John at hearts.ac.uk, security question, favourite fruit, and that is also going to be banana, because otherwise I'm going to have difficulty remembering. So I'm going to create a user now. It's created my user. I click on continue. This hopefully will take me to the login page this time. Oh no, it doesn't. So there's still something I need to set up there. But anyway, let's go into login.aspx. Okay, and now if I type in username John, okay, with the password abc_123, and I click log in, hopefully that should get me into the page. Okay, so that's done. Okay, here is some content. Okay, so that's now we've now got a kind of happy site. We've got the ability to stop users gaining access to our valuable content. We have the ability for users to create their own profiles in order that they can access the site. Yeah. Now then, I seem to have done all this without even once creating a database. You might wonder, how on earth did he do that? Okay, well, what's happened is that in the background, while we've been doing all this, Visual Studio has created a number of very interesting things. If we go in the app data folder and we right click and we use open folder in Windows Explorer, okay, what we should see there in that folder are two files being created: asp.net.mdf, asp.net_log.ldf. And essentially what these are SQL Server databases which contain a huge amount of quite sophisticated ways of handling users. I mean, you can give a user's name, it's got their own passwords encrypted, so it's very secure. Therefore, even if somebody breaks into the site, they won't ever be able to find out the user's passwords because they're stored encrypted in the database. And using this gives us enormous power, because then it frees us from having to worry about using our own database to put in user details. Okay, so that is essentially where all that data of usernames and passwords and questions, people who've forgotten their passwords can go now find a question. They can refine their password by doing it. Okay, so that's all set up for us. Now, that does mean in the case of the Mobile Standards website, we're going to have a slight problem because we've got to have two databases essentially, one in Access and one in SQL Server. But we can live with that, because I think it's a good idea, because we don't want to having to do all of that stuff that I've just done, but hand code it ourselves, which is much more complicated. When by using this system, we can create a quite robust password challenge system without having to worry too much about the precise intricacies of how it gets done. Okay, so anyway, what we've done so far then, we've established usernames and passwords. Now we need to somehow make sure that the system understands which user is actually viewing the website at any one time. So we'll look at that next.